in Podcast Detroit, recording live. Prepare yourself for a hoppy drive. If you're chilling at home, pop that growler and just kick back for the next 2 hours. It's the end of the week, so here's to the weekend. It's Better on Draft with Rob, Matt, Nick, and Ken.
And we are live 218 Better on Draft podcast. My name is Ken. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Again, you can join us each and every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern at facebook.com/Better on Draft. I am sitting here with some of my favorite people in the world and Dan. How you doing, Dan? You got to unmute.
Oh, man, I was not ready for that. Oh, boy. I'm doing good. What's going on, man?
I'm all right. Well, Nick isn't here, and usually I go with Nick first, but he's moving into his new house right now, so I decided to go with you. How are you, and what are you drinking?
Oh, well, glad you mentioned Nick, because I decided to take the reins for him, doing the old double fisting. So I've got a Boost Coffee Stout from Almanac Beer Co. It's coffee and vanilla bean. It's pretty good. I couldn't tell you it's 9%. Just learned that.
Happy
Friday
not
afternoon.
High enough, yeah.
No,
I was going to say Friday afternoon
beer
for you.
It's a sipping beer. And then I went back to the well with this Bottlelogic New Science, the seltzer, which is actually really good.
Well, we mentioned it last week that I bought it, so I am drinking my Leffe Brune. And
Nice.
Over here, I've got another Leffe Brune. So that'll be my first segment for sure. Wendy, how you doing? What are you drinking, and how was your week?
Oh, my week's been fantastic. I am drinking a tropical ale from Big Lake Brewing. Kind of excited. It says crisp, refreshing, low carb, and low calorie tropical ale. So it's tasting pretty good. It's crushable. I think that's awesome.
That's what
Lord knows I've been adding extra calories in this past couple months.
I think we all have. I've definitely I've been afraid to weigh myself. I have been off the keto life for sure. Bingo square. That's the center one anyway, so it don't matter.
Yeah, that's freebie.
Yeah, so I think I'm going back on June 1st to actually be able to do it. But I think because of the unknown, the way that things work, I didn't want to assume or try to buy or have to overly buy. And of course, losing my job, you can't just go, you just gotta be smarter. So we'll be back to it here. I started my new job today. So that was a lot of fun of watching videos and trying to learn new acronyms as I have gone from a company that sells SaaS to a company that sells IaaS. Yeah, so that's my life. Rob, what's going on? What are you drinking?
The usual. Still doing both jobs, working from home, hosting trivia, running around, doing the occasional errand and delivery of sometimes delivering some odds and ends to friends and family, and definitely got some stuff to run around and pick up.
Talking about weed, or what are you talking about?
I leave that with my supplier. I don't talk about the partaking of things. I leave that out. That we don't bring that up. We don't bring
it's
that
illegal
up.
There. It's allowed, man.
Listen, just because it's allowed doesn't mean companies still don't P test you, because I got P tested twice at applying for jobs.
Oh,
yeah,
really? Wow.
Yeah, they still, it's like, yeah, great, you can smoke it, but it's still not legal with the job. So, you're probably going to get ready to say goodbye job.
Yeah, what was so funny is that the last job when I was working at Toast, they didn't care. And the contractors that are trying to hire us that work with Toast were like, all right, yeah, and you got to go do a drug test. And I'm like, do you realize who you're hiring over here? Like, we partook a lot. And of course, now that everyone lost their job, you don't think the first thing they did was light up and start working on that cover letter?
Exactly.
I mean, I didn't, because that's just not my thing. It was,
Right. Right. But
Dan,
I'm
go on.
what I'm drinking for first one. This is from Trillium. Is their twice the daily serving, which is a Berliner Weiss with blackberry and pomegranate, and straight up in the proper glass right now. Oh yeah.
I just
Damn, that
had
is good.
the first sip of this beer in probably 5 years. I actually remember still my favorite one of my favorite stories ever was getting a shit ton of these from a Gay's Hops and Schnapps over in Angola, Indiana. Calling Jack and is like, "Hey, I just got a bunch of Leffe Brune. If you want any cases, if anybody wants any of it." And he goes, "You know they start distroing here in a week, right?" I'm like, well, I guess I got 5 cases of this beer, so it sat in my basement for a while as I went through it, because obviously I was drinking a bunch of other beers while going through it and opening. I love it every single year when Facebook does the memories thing, and you just see I have this pic of like my beer fridge, and this thing used to be filled to the wall because we used to, and Dan will remember, we used to
Oh,
play
yeah.
like beer pong with like Final Absolution and um,
Oof.
oh geez, yeah, like
Bunch of fun.
some of the not like heavy hitters like barrel aged beers, because I wasn't really big into those at that time, but like Belgian Strongs were still usually on the board. Oberon, brown ales, ambers,
Mm.
anything that I could get my hands on was always a beer that we played beer pong with. And of course, what would always happen is that everyone would come, they'd drink my beer, leave me their beer. And so I'd slowly rotate a bunch of crafted imports that I got from merchants to absolutely just like, you know, Guinness and Budweiser. Really, that's what everyone would bring me, is Guinness.
Guarantee I was involved in that at some point.
Oh,
Probably bottles of King Cobra though were left over.
No, you
whatever you had.
usually you would never not drink a bottle of King Cobra if you bought it. That's
true.
It's a very undan thing. So checking in with you guys. Everyone's still working. Everyone's still doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're making it, and hustling as hard and fast as we can. So, getting through it every day.
Well, those of you in the chat, let's see what you are drinking. Tell us what you are drinking. Bill Vetter is saying that he's drinking Final Absolution Dragon Mead. So,
Oh, I almost picked that up on the way home.
another call out to Final Absolution. The place that I went to today, I didn't wind up grabbing any beer, but they had White Devil from Kunin, and I was like, ooh. I almost pulled the trigger, but I still have
some of those this weekend.
I still have a lot of beer left from my last few purchases of going to the store, so I need to get through that before I even think about buying new beer or get another paycheck. This
You gotta get paid first.
Yeah, this job only pays once a month, so.
Jesus.
Oh, those are tricky.
Yeah,
that's a budget you have to work out very, very finely.
It's also 1099, so I got to do all that stuff too. But thankfully, Dan over here,
I hooked you up.
Helped me out with a nice little Excel spreadsheet that'll help me out with that. As we kind of start the shows, we kind of go through a little bit of the news, but I kind of want to pass this around a little bit, as there is an editorial that happened on MSN.com. Keep it coming in, by the way, in the chat room, facebook.com/better on draft. If you're listening to this on podcast, or if you're listening via video, live Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern, there is an editorial about the rules, regulations, and how things are going to kind of go as coronavirus gets lifted. We all start going to restaurants and bars again. I am part of a handful of bar and restaurant groups on Facebook, and people are saying that a lot of people, when the restrictions have been lifted in some of these states, a lot of people are starting to come out in full force to these restaurants and bars. So it'll definitely be interesting to see. There are some other places that are holding restrictions, which are kind of shitty for restaurants, because they're talking about 25% capacity. And if you know anything about restaurant overhead, you can't run a restaurant at 25% capacity and make money. So hopefully these things do a little bit better for them in regards to the PPP loans, and they can go through. If you are a server, bartender, wait staff, anything like that, you can go to gotipem.com, unpunished.com. You can register if you know someone or if you want to donate to someone who is struggling a little bit because they are losing all of their tips. You can go there. You can search by state. You can search by name. You can do it. You could be like, all right, I want to do someone that has the exact same name as me. So obviously nobody has Ken Kondrashevsky. So maybe I'll just search KEN and find a Ken and donate some money. So that's gotipem.com, GOTIPEM. In the chat, Bill Carney's is drinking peanut butter stout from Brickhaven. Terrence Lewis, Dark Horse's Rain in Blood.
Let's say that's one of those metal beers we talked about way back in the day, isn't it?
That might have been. I remember because most of the metal beers during that metal beer show came from Three Floyds.
Yep.
But that might have been on the list of beers that we could have got because we did our best to try to get all of them. We got the badass beer.
That was so bad.
Yeah. you almost could say it was so bad it was ass.
Yeah, that's yeah.
I'll be here all night, folks. So the kind of get your opinion on all 7 of these, and we'll kind of go through, see kind of how everything reacts. The first one saying clear plates without gloves.
What?
Again, this is editorial, MSN.com, clearing plates without gloves. So basically clearing plates into bus boys, bus girls. That's my guess is doing that without gloves. So I'm guessing they're probably going to want to change gloves every single time. I mean,
I don't think you'd have to change gloves every time. I mean, I guess in my own thought with people who are working in restaurants, I'm kind of surprised before this that people weren't wearing gloves when they cleared plates because you think about, people who have been eating off of this plate and the germs that could have been on there anyway. I don't see, I guess I'm a little surprised with that one. And I don't see why it would. Well, I see why people would be wearing gloves and probably should have been in the first place.
I think the hardest thing is that gripping and feeling of the glasses and everything that you're doing. I would think it'd be a lot harder because even if you're using some type of like rubber gloves, if you're not really feeling it and gripping it with your hands,
yeah,
like I can kind of imagine, if you will, those the American Ninja Warrior guys, and they do the little really like the hang type grip on the wall.
Yep.
Like try doing that with
half
gloves. Like you're not going to be able to feel it. You're not going to, I feel like there's going to be a lot more broken glass and mistakes and that kind of stuff. Plus I think it's a lot easier just to continuously wash your hands. I'm curious if as we continue to go through, if we don't start making some type of maybe a cleaner or something like that, or a product into the washing mix that is edible. So that people can you could wash it with them. So you get these high intensity dishwashers if you can get some type of cleaning product in there that can help kill the coronavirus while still being.
You mean like soap?
I mean, I don't know if soap is necessarily a killing agent of it.
Well, that's what they've been telling us for the last 3 or 4 months is that soap is actually better than the disinfectants because the soap layers the fat on the outside and it makes it inactive.
Well, I learned something new today. Chalk
like,
that
wait,
up.
like soap?
This is why I'm not a doctor or I own a restaurant
or a scientist or any of that.
Yeah.
It's just leave that to the experts.
I'm pretty sure that I messed up the description and I did not use the right words there, but that's what they were saying from the beginning. And when we weren't able to get any sanitizers or anything like that, we had our guys using soap and water in spray bottles to sanitize everything and clean their hands and stuff and everything down in between each call.
Well, I mean, and was that like getting sanitizer like within the last few weeks or like in the beginning of this? Because it seems like
in the beginning. Now we can get it. But
yeah.
Back then, I mean, it was only in the last week or two that we started being able to get sanitizer in a large quantity.
Yeah, because there's been obviously with 2 James who's been making it. Detroit Bus Company has been making
Andy's
gallons of that as well.
Andy's fucking rocking it over there with the.
Yeah,
we actually got the last sanitizer that we got was from Lansing. which one in Lansing was doing it.
Ellison?
Yeah, Allison.
Okay.
So because Ellison is also a distillery. So
Yep.
number 2 is boxing up your leftovers. I don't know about you guys. I never like when wait staff boxes up our leftovers. I feel
I'd
like-
rather do it
No,
myself.
they just for most places that I've been to, they just give you the box and you handle it. I mean, I guess in a way there's so much that some people already worry about with how their food is handled and how it's made in the back. And for those of us who have seen the movie Waiting, that's enough to kind of scare some people into wondering what's going on back there. So I expect when I ask for something to be boxed up, I expect them to just bring me the box and I'll handle it from there.
Have you seen the sequel to Waiting?
No.
Did you know there is a sequel to Waiting?
No.
It's got a handful of people coming back, including Andy Milonakis, Luis Guzman. It's definitely a rough
Whoa.
watch, to say the least.
I was gonna say, if it's gonna be that kind of party, well, I won't
Yeah,
finish that.
this is like a road trip beer pong, where like DJ Qual shows up and that's it.
Yeah, no.
No. All right. Number 3, working without a mask. Do you guys think that's going to be standard practice for wait staff to be wearing a mask?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too.
And do you blame them? I mean, do you
No.
want all these people who give no regard to other people's health walking into your restaurant and just like, oh, I'm just not going to wear a mask? Well, these people are not giving a crap about what they're spreading around.
Yeah.
No, I mean
Yeah.
it's
Well,
especially what's gonna suck is that it's gonna cause fights.
it's already
two-
caused shootings.
Yeah, and 2, it's gonna cause people to pitch a fit. Like, people are already upset that they can't enter into a place without a mask, and I'm like, we already have rules about shirts and shoes. Like, you can
Yeah.
add a mask to that.
But there's no rule about pants, so I can
Will
see
say,
both
though,
sides
that-
of this argument.
I will say that I thought it was interesting because I was going into Walgreens the other day to pick up a prescription, and I got out of the car and I'm putting my mask on, and I'm like, who knew that we would get to a point where we were going to mask up every time we went into a store? Normally they won't let you in with a mask.
Yeah, I mean
Right.
that's a very
How do the banks handle that?
I'm like, I feel like I'm going to rob the place.
well, I mean,
I mean, they don't have a choice. They have to. I mean, look at all these stores that are already doing it. We've got Costco who's requiring it. The UPS store that's by my house, they have a sign in red underlined writing or lines that says no shoes, no shirt, no mask, no service.
But as Dan said, you can go on without pants.
I mean, you could just
Yeah.
go in with wearing a giant T-shirt and shoes and literally nothing else, and you're good at these places.
I mean,
Everybody assumes pants. That's just what it is.
this is one that I think, I've noticed it just because if you guys ever go to a lot of foreign countries, and even so, like Canada, as much it is technically a foreign country, handling your credit card payment. A lot of these companies don't allow, they have, what do you call it? Credit card readers that are on them. Which isn't necessarily standard here in the U.S. It's starting to become a little bit more standard. But if you go to any type of restaurant in Toronto or Ontario, anywhere in Ontario, they're gonna bring this wireless credit card reader just to take your credit card because they have EMV style rules that they can't take the credit card out of your site. And when you go into other continents like Asia and Europe, there's a lot of them that require a PIN to use your credit card now. So I think there's going to be a huge push into handling your CC payment. I think there's going to be a huge push into potentially getting more NFC payments than anything.
Yeah.
Good luck. Here, I'll tell you right now, and I didn't mean to cut you off, Rob.
No,
Good luck
go
with the
ahead.
credit card industry.
He
They
meant you
fought.
to.
They fought tooth and nail to stop even the chip readers
Yep.
and the chips in the cards tooth and nail. There's no way they're going to go for another upgrade in technology to go like the EU where you have to bring the credit card reader to the table. It's not going to happen. It's going to cost so much money to
I mean,
switch all of that out.
then it seems at that point you've really only got two options. It's either that for each restaurant or any place is going to have point of sale, that they have some sort of app that you can go on the phone and go to your bill and pay it there, or they're going to need some extra phone lines, because then you actually have to physically, which would be absolutely nuts, but to be in a restaurant and actually have to call them while you're in the restaurant to give them your card number to pay your bill.
No, I agree. But I just know from being in the payment industry for as long as I was, it was a nightmare when the NFC, or not the NFC, the chip readers came out, and gas stations are still fighting to not have to switch over to that.
Gas stations and restaurants were two of the biggest anti-proponents of it. Because along with that, like one of the things that it's kind of unwritten. Well, it is written, but no restaurant really follows it. But like, if they can't like open up a tab for you or hold your credit card anymore. Like those things aren't like legal. Like you can't hold you, like everything needs to be tokenized, and there are ways around it. Like when I was working with Toast, there was ways around it to make it more. Because your goal is basically stop you from getting chargebacks. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter whether legality or not is to you to not get chargebacks. So the least amount of what's that?
I was going to say, have any of you been in Costco recently?
I haven't. No.
Not for a few months.
The way that they have been with every customer that comes in, when you're at the register, when you're done, they sanitize the belt, they sanitize the scanner, and then they go to the card reader, and then they sanitize the card reader. They even went so far as to move the receipt printer at the very end of the register so that you grab the receipt. They don't even hand it to you anymore, and just point to the receipt printer and tell you to grab the receipt. But they clean, when you're done, they clean everything. And I'm just imagining with somebody in a bar bringing a card reader and then having to clean that card reader every single time somebody uses it.
I think that the technology will allow for people to do it, but I don't think it's going to be mandatory. As Dan said, like I think the technology already exists. Like Toast already has a handheld that has NFC and chip reading capabilities, so they can do that literally right in front of you, as well as Square's pretty remote, battery powered. Credit card reader is pretty solid.
Squares works really good, so you don't even have to touch anything.
Yeah, it's a very, very, and you can move it around. That's what a lot of breweries like Squares, because they can literally just throw the tablet right in front of you, spin it, you sign it, and come back. And that's going to be a huge thing too. Is obviously, the usage of kiosks and kiosks in the industry, as well as many industries. We're trying this social distancing, then you got to go up and touch this kiosk, and you're like, well, how many people have touched this kiosk, since it's been clean, and I'm like, well, fuck. So there are, there are definitely, just put a hand sanitizer right next to it, just to kind of like get people to use it. Obviously, your own carelessness is your own carelessness. But I think like handling credit card payments, I think there might be a big push into at least chip readers. But again, as Dan said, like the lobbying of restaurants, gas stations, credit card processors, they have a lot of money behind them. So it's going to be different, but I think it's going to allow for the technology to expand, more people to adapt, and I think it'll just slowly push the needle a little further. I mean, Dan, you could say that I'm wrong. You obviously have it on the merchant side or the payment side.
I mean, no, things eventually change. It's the matter of you're going to have a lot of resistance to do it until it actually happens. I mean, chip cards are like at least a decade behind before they first got here, and they don't even involve a PIN here like they do in like 99% of the other countries on Earth. So that tells you how far behind and how much everyone's fighting everything.
Most American payment processors won't even allow you to prompt for a PIN. So
chip and PIN doesn't exist here. That's the thing. In fact, Europe has to set it up so they can take cards that don't require a PIN. you show up there as an American, and they're like, oh, it won't work if they don't otherwise. So that tells you everyone has to cater to our backwards ass technology in 2020.
Oh, always the leader.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is going to be an interesting one. Just because we were talking about it a little bit earlier, but pushing tables together for large groups. Obviously, any server will tell you how much they hate that.
Yeah.
As
Uh,
you've been the one to do that a bunch of times, Ken. Let's be honest.
well, yes, that's very, very. I'm like server Dan. I never worked as a server.
Yeah, all right, not server, but yeah.
Push tables together, yes, but I think it's a little bit different if you call ahead and you place a reservation, because then they could plan the reservation. They can plan the tables around your reservation so that they're not pulling from this person's section and this person's section and this person's section, and that those people are losing tables. But pushing tables together, I mean,
It's
big
not going to
groups-
happen. I don't see it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna be in a situation where we're coming back, and as I saw a news thing from Pennsylvania that they're going to yellow phase or whatever it was that it said in there, that there's still going to be those rules that these places are going to be open, but there's going to be the rules to it, and I don't see how they're even going to be allowed to have those large parties, because there's still going to be, I feel like there's still going to be the social distancing that is going to be going on. And if there's going to be this large group of 10 or 12 people that are coming in, they're taking up the whole damn restaurant or the bar, because they're going to have to be separated in some sort of way. Don't you think?
Yeah, I agree. Like, there was a restaurant in Ohio, I think, that is doing their best to get around social distancing rules. They installed shower curtains around each table, to provide an actual barrier.
I mean, I guess it works. I just find that funny.
If you are a restaurant that can operate at 100% because of that, more power to you.
But then it just looks like hospital triage.
I mean, what might be cool is if you could get actual decorations, but maybe everyone has their own private room. I think it'll be different. Everyone, I think it'll catch on. It'll laugh for a little bit, and by the time it gets passe and everyone's kind of over it, we'll probably be back to a little more whatever the new normal is.
Mug Club members get their own curtain.
Oh boy.
There was that Netflix show Bruise Brothers. They have a recurring joke about the Founders Club, because the guy needed money to start, so he offered $500 for unlimited beer for the Founders Club. And these guys, so the whole point of the joke is these two big guys like my size, and you see their Founders Club photos, and there's them 150 pounds lighter, and they're like, "Whoa, how long ago were those photos taken?" They're like, 6 months. Because of all the free beer that they've been drinking. I think this is going to be interesting because of what. So it says make room for more plates. So that means moving appetizer plates around so that people, they can sit down your regular plates, or moving your dinner plates for the pizza, the desserts, or whatever. So I guess touching the plates without removing them from the table. Again, MSN.com editorial. Don't yell at me.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
And I'm just gonna skip over it.
I got nothing on that. I got nothing on that.
There are 7 of them, so we're on number 7.
I know.
Go on.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and the last one is take your order, which is very, very interesting. We noticed. So we saw Applebee's, I think, tested a little bit with the Ziosks, and that was your ability to basically order at the table by yourself, using the little screen, and then they didn't tell you that it costs you money to use that screen and not the server.
Oh boy.
Shit, I didn't know that.
There are
What
restaurants.
kind of shit show is that?
There are restaurants. A lot of QSRs are starting to remove servers, cashiers, because you can just place an order on the app or place an order on a kiosk. You don't need cashiers anymore. Well, I mean, I think you do. I personally feel like you do, because obviously there are other people working, but taking your order as a server, I don't know. Like I don't think we're there yet where it's a lot of walk up, order, and sit down at a table with a tent number just to figure out where your food's gonna go for the whoever the server is. What do you guys think about taking servers
I mean, there's a lot of
or
places
taking
like that
orders?
already. You're making a good point about that. There's like quite a few places like that.
Like food, like I think quick service restaurants and food halls, but like let's bring it
Mhm.
into a full service restaurant. Let's bring it into an Outback Steakhouse, like full service. You're talking booze, breadsticks, peanuts, apps, meals, desserts. Like they're a full service restaurant. Um, do you think they're going to go away from that?
They could. I mean, I've seen this at Denny's too. What you're talking about with at least out
Really?
here, yeah, ordering on the screen if you elect to at the thing at the table. I've seen it at Outback too out here, though
Are
their
you
things
you're
weren't
talking
working.
you're talking the Ziosk at the table. So like
Yeah,
each table
yeah,
has its own
yeah,
screen. Like you
exactly.
wouldn't be able to pull that off at some mom and pop shop at all.
Not at all. No
Like
way.
Um,
the cost is just too
uh,
expensive to be able to do something like that, especially with the monthly maintenance software, that kind of stuff. Because if you look at like Toast or something like that, Toast, I can only speak on Toast just because I work there, but that's $25 per terminal per month. So if you wanted to do it for every single table and you have a 40 table outlet, that's Jesus.
Jeez.
Um,
So you
That's
charge the
that's
fee.
eight
that's
hundred
eight hundred
dollars.
bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, most of
I
those
think you'd
places.
end up with a lot of people not going to restaurants as much because I think part of the whole um, fun of going to a restaurant is having the interaction with the staff and
Well,
having somebody bring me my stuff, you know?
there's a lot of
Yeah.
there's a lot of psychology that comes into serving because you have, would you like another drink, can I, refill, whatever. Your loss leaders versus, upselling, selling appetizers. We see it as jokes in movies like Waiting or Office Space, but that's where a lot of these restaurants make their monies, is from these, huge types of the psychology that is serving. And those servers obviously are making more money because they're getting more in tips because they're selling more. But if you don't, like, how many times have you not been served at a bar and just left because you're like, all right, well, nobody wants to service me, nobody wants to give me another beer, I think I'm done for the day. But in the same token, now you have the opportunity to just go to a fucking kiosk or order right at the screen that you want a beer and you'll always get it. So
Right.
I mean,
That's true.
I
mean,
guess I
it's.
can. I talked my way into both ways, and I'm not happy about it.
I mean, we live in a country that thrives on the hospitality business, and we're now in a situation where we are removing hospitality because of the concern of a virus. I mean, it's just everything is evolving, and this is unfortunately just the way it's going to go.
There's some chat going on in our chat, facebook.com/better on draft. Andrew Parr asked, will RFID style cards be used more? Dan, you answered him, but why don't you answer us here in the chat or the voice?
Oh, go back to I gotta
The
scroll back and see what
podcast.
go back to see what I said here. So yeah, what I was saying is you need a lot of upgrades as far as terminals at a lot of these smaller restaurants, especially, or even merchants in general, because they're just not set up to accept those cards. So in order to do that, everyone's going to have to swap out, probably pay several $100s for the adapter or the terminal itself just to be able to make that happen. It would be nice if it would. You would think this might be the opportunity to push that, because those have kind of flopped. The RFIDs, the Apple Pay, the Google Pay, the paying with your phone, that sort of thing. It's been out there for years.
Well, we've noticed, yeah, this stuff has been out there for years, but I've noticed there was now, mind you, take it for what it is. For those of you local, you guys will understand what I'm saying. But it was an Equinox gym, which if you don't know what Equinox gym is, it's a very expensive gym to get in West Bloomfield, Michigan, which is a very expensive city to live in. And they
Yeah.
were talking about they were literally losing 20% of their sales because they didn't accept Apple Pay.
Damn.
And that not like NFC, Apple Pay. And these are the same people that you could technically use their app put your credit card in their app, save your credit card, and order straight from the app every single time. And that was still too much for these customers. They wanted to go up and order and use Apple Pay.
Wow.
Like, they had all the opportunity for you to order, but like, just because they couldn't accept one. Now, mind you, they've come out, but a lot of people have just spent all this money updating for chip cards, and now you want to tell them to update for,
Apple Pay.
RFID or
Yeah,
NFC
yeah.
or anything like that. Like you already just forced this huge change with the EMV rules, and now you're going to be changing. I don't think it'll be
Mhm.
soon, but I think the customers wanting it will move it faster, because the customers didn't give two shits about the chip card, the chip reader.
Mm-mm.
No.
But I think as we kind of move more towards a electronic payment, I think the customers will push that a little bit more. Bill Vetter says, I wonder what every bar will look like, every other stool. Andrew says every third one, which I agree.
You can already see that in some places that are open, where it's just like they have the chairs wrapped up, and it just looks, it's surreal. Like, you walk in and you just see a seat, and then two seats that are wrapped in like garbage bags and just shit to make sure that you can't sit on it, and then you see the next seat, and it's
I'm
just
curious how that would go,
you don't
because for me, like if I went with my girlfriend, like,
Too bad you gotta sit 3 chairs apart. That's
Yeah,
all-
you-
sorry, honey.
sit down there.
excuse me, sir, we've already been social distancing at home. Can we sit next to each other?
Then people are gonna be pissed when they show up with anyone, or if they even show up, because you're gonna take the seats away from them. So it's
Yeah,
kind
but
of a
at that point, you've
clusterfuck.
probably just been spending the last 3 months with this one person. Maybe you just want to like get away from them.
That's true.
Like, why,
That is true.
why are you going to a no?
It's-
That was kind of it for the 7 things. Do you think there's going to be anything crazy changing within the restaurant industry before we take a break? Anything that you're curious about? Because I think my big thing is I'm curious how specialty nights will happen after all
Like
this.
apple teeny night.
Not
Things like-
drink specialty. I'm talking more like karaoke, pub trivia,
Oh, yeah,
live
good point.
bands.
Yeah, the trivia thing, and I've actually talked to my teams about that on my Monday show, and we talked about when we might actually come back to Herman's out in Plymouth, and I said, look, where we have trivia and the area that we have is way too tight to be able to meet the restrictions that we know that we're going to face when they reopen. And that, on a regular night, I could probably fit 13 to 15 teams. We're too close. And so I'd probably say the most that I'm going to be able to get in there, if we go back to hosting at the bar anytime soon, that I may be down to maybe 6, possibly 5, because it's just too tight of an area. There's people that are way too close to each other. And, I don't see how getting back to being at a bar and doing those regular things like doing trivia is going to be close to normal anytime soon. I'm actually sitting here thinking I'm not going to be back in the bar hosting trivia until, I don't know, November. I mean, and that's I think that's being fucking generous.
Well, that's
I-
how many bars are going to want it. That's the
Right.
thing too, is that sure, there are some bars that can get away with 3 to 4 teams showing up, or a handful of people showing up to karaoke, and paying just for the karaoke person, because those few nights, the few nights a year where it's bumping because somebody decides to bring their birthday during the karaoke, or it's worth it to them. But I don't know how it's going to be worth it. And here's the thing, and I'm going to let you guys talk about it, and then we'll take a quick break. I think this is going to be the end of those adult arcades. Dave and
Ooh.
Buster's, pool halls, places where you're sharing, you're sharing a space more than just sharing, a space to eat. You're playing games, you're playing pool, bowling alleys are disgusting already, so you're probably immune to anything you can get at a bowling alley.
Yeah.
But I mean,
It-
even those specialty bowl, like the really nice ones, like Arts and Crafts over in Troy, that used to be Troy Lanes, like they have remodeled it so that kind of like movie theaters, because they figured out a way to remodel the bowling alley, not really upcharge you too much more, and give you a better experience. Because remember the old school movie theaters, Andrew says it. Fuck Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, Chuck E.
Charles-
Cheese. I didn't even think of that.
Charles Entertainment Cheese. What?
And what's crazy too is that I don't know if you guys saw, but like Major Magics was planning on reopening here in Michigan.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's insane.
It
I mean,
is-
Here comes a revival of the drive-in theater. This shit's gonna come back because I mean, you look at like all the stuff that's going on, and you look at all the sporting events and all the stuff that has been canceled. And quick shout out to my wife Dina, who has brought this up about the fact that these multi-million-dollar businesses with being stadiums and you know the NCAA not opening because who knows if they even know that they could get sued for somebody catching the coronavirus while they're at one of their events in one of their stadiums. So as long as they're closed, I don't really see how there's going to be any other businesses, big or small, that really want to take that chance other than obviously the retail stores.
and then don't forget, like as Andrew says, McDonald's play places. Or
Oh, shit.
I don't know if you guys saw.
I don't even
too,
know why those
speaking
still
of-
exist.
Speaking of Major Magics coming back, somebody was starting to load up. It was either a new Discovery Zone or a new Leaps and Bounds opening up, like or air trampoline. Those trampoline parks. Fuck.
Oh.
Um,
Those
Gone.
things are dangerous anyways. My
yeah,
God.
of course they are, but it's fun. Who cares?
I
Let you
watched
sign
a
a
guy
waiver.
almost break his neck one day. It's crazy.
So
But he
they're
didn't.
just gonna they're just gonna put
But he
on the
didn't.
waiver. They're gonna put COVID-19 on the waiver. With everything else, they're just gonna put that on the waiver.
You said
I can
waiver.
see that.
The House of Urban Bowling. Sorry, Wendy. The House of Urban Bowling. Axe throwing.
They have a waiver.
bowling, They have
Yep.
waivers, but
Have waivers.
COVID.
Yeah.
I can
it'll
see
be-
that
it'll
being
be in
part
there.
of a- when you purchase your tickets for any shows or something like that, that's part of the
It's gonna
thing
be
that you have
baked
to
into
agree
the-
to in
the
order to
toss.
purchase the ticket, because
Mhm.
there's no way that they could, if they let something like that happen where if somebody got sick they tried to blame the venue,
Yeah.
No,
never
you're-
have anything again.
You're not going to see shows for a long time. Everyone's canceled.
Oh yeah.
No.
Concerts
No.
and everything. I mean, Iron Maiden's done till June 2021.
I already
at the
lost my
earliest.
rage. I already lost my Rage Against the Machine concert until next July.
I mean,
Yeah.
I got my $500 worth of movement tickets back. So
Jesus.
Mm.
What are you doing?
I spent because it was the whole day for Saturday, but I also set up for the VIP tickets because those random Memorial Day weekends where it becomes like 100 degrees, because it's like, oh, it's May in Michigan, we might as well be 100 degrees. It snowed last week, but that doesn't matter.
Like it snowed today.
Wait, it snowed there today?
It did
It
snow there
did.
Oh, I'm
today.
sorry. It was like 102 here.
We'll talk about it in the second break because we'll bring it up. But we are going to take a second break, so I'm going to have everyone mute on the right hand side, and we will be right back with the Better on Draft podcast.
I'm headed for the city, trouble in my mind. I'm way too young and pretty for things to be unkind. Time is all we have now, so let's make something while we can. I'm headed for the city, make me start again. Conversation now and then, gotta go, gotta get it. Don't make things go south, baby. Oh, 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 yeah. Oh, 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 oh. I'm headed for the city, see what I can unwind. Always gotta start it to dictate, make it in this life. Time is all we have now, so let's make something while we can. start again. Conversation now one day. Gotta go, gotta get it. Don't make things go south, baby. Oh, 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 these are they looking back home. No, I'm now by myself on this road.
And we are back to 18, maybe? I don't know. These weeks have kind of, blended together. Better on Draft Podcast. That's what matters. Facebook.com/Better on Draft. We are live each and every Friday at 7 p.m. Thank you so much for joining us live in the chat. We are on to round number 2, segment number 2. Round number 3, probably for some of you. Let's go around the horn, starting with Wendy. What are you drinking?
I am now drinking an Aloha Surfer from Trophy Brewing Company. It is a modern IPA. I'm not really sure what that means, but it is
modern?
tasty. Yeah, it says a modern IPA with pineapple and passion fruit. It's tasty.
The millennials drink right there.
Right.
Yeah, well, I think it's like I was talking about before with the tropical IPAs. It's got all the tropical flavors, but it's not hazy.
So here comes another GABF category right there.
Modern
man.
IPA.
Modern
They're my
IPA.
favorite. I only see them down south though.
That's the first I've heard of that. Obviously we got West Coast, we got hazy, we got East Coast, we got regular, double.
Yeah.
I've never heard modern. That's a
I've
new
never
one.
heard modern, but I have heard a lot of places down south when I was there. I would see tropical IPAs.
Fair.
Dan,
Right,
what's in your glass? I'm going around the
am
horn on my screen. Sorry, Rob.
Still working on
Gotcha.
the same two things. Got some of that seltzer. Still haven't finished this good old Boost coffee stout, which is actually really good. I just didn't want to slam it.
Taking a little slow tonight, Dan?
Yeah, I mean tonight it's like 4:54.
I mean that's not my problem. That's just Arizona's problem.
It might be your problem actually. I mean, I think you guys have the time issue, but
I mean,
anyways.
I did almost move down there.
That's true.
The time issue being that we still do daylight savings time.
Yeah, especially. Yeah.
Yeah, that quick political. That needs to go. Moving on.
Rob, what you got?
In honor of their unfortunately being postponed 4th year anniversary party that was supposed to happen a few weeks ago, I went and picked up some drafting table mean vanilla bean, the maple bourbon barrel version of it. So this is obviously Imperial Stout, aged in maple syrup oak bourbon barrels with vanilla beans, clocking in at, their typical 15%.
I remember drinking, I don't know if it was that one, but at that summer fest when it was like 90 degrees and humid, and Rob's getting me to drink crap like that.
I think that's the same
Yeah.
Summerfest where you got me to get
Damn,
the
that's
Ghost
good.
Pepper tracks.
Probably. That's when
Yeah.
you're like, hey guys, don't go hard on like the 10% beers. And
Yeah, as we're walking
immediately,
in.
within like 30 seconds.
I mean, I was driving, so it didn't matter. I couldn't go hard, but obviously
This-
you guys could. I've stepped it up, and I've gone with another bottle of Leffe Brune, and
Alright.
I will follow that up with another bottle of Leffe Brune.
This is amazing, by the way. Oh, that's right. I am actually double fisting as well. I got myself a little bit of bourbon for the children because it's Wu-Tang, and got myself some Catcher's Rye single barrel. So
I'm
I
going
got that as well.
tomorrow. I might have to.
So Grace Cook saying that they're drinking seltzer over there. Bill Carney is drinking Sunshine IPA from Sanctuary Spirits and Brewery.
Brian is apparently drinking the blood of his enemies.
Brian
Yep.
is drinking the blood of his enemies. Yes.
I mean, how long does that take to ferment?
I don't
I don't know
know.
if you wait for it to.
I feel like the word coagulate should be in there.
Yeah.
I don't technically
Probably.
know what it means, but it should. We were kind of talking about the weather right before the break, and this is going to be very, very interesting this year because of the drastic weather changes here in Michigan. Back in 2012, if you guys can remember, this was pre-better on draft, but there was a tart cherry shortage because we had a huge heat wave in March, which turned into a frost in April. So it made all of the cherry blossoms bud, I think is the proper term. I don't have a green thumb. So if anybody in the chat wants to correct me, feel free to. And then the frost killed it all. So here we are again, about to have multiple frosts throughout this week and next week.
Damn.
And I'll look at, for a industry, agriculture, as well as, of course, our mead industry, our folks over at Bee Nectar or Recolt or anything. Well, Bee Nectar, we noticed it because the zombie killer went up in price by almost I want to say 60 to 70% that one year. And I remember what the fuck? I don't remember it this expensive. And sure enough, that, I think that's what we're probably going to see this year is a potential issue. Now, I don't know how it's going to deal with the Michigan hops. I don't think it's going to have too many issues, but our weather is shitty. Hopefully, you guys bought all of your seeds and planted or didn't plant anything before these frosts.
See, that type of stuff really obviously it's the Michigan weather and that type of shit happens, but it gets frustrating, especially when I get into some of my baking seasons. And one of the things that, is really good and for me, really easy to make are raspberry cream cheese brownies. And I remember the year that we had this issue where there was this frost issue and suddenly, places like Smucker's who were making jams stopped making black raspberry jam because this frost shit happened, and then I couldn't use the same jam that I used to use, and I had to switch to red raspberry, which changed the flavor of everything that I was trying to do. So it's just obviously it's what it is, and yeah, grab your shit, stack your chips up, and grab your damn beers and shit, because yeah, this shit's real. That's all I got.
Is that the same year? Was that the same year the Apple supply had a huge problem too?
Possibly.
That might have been.
I don't think I was drinking too much cider at that time, so I wouldn't be the only reason I knew about the cherry shortage, and I actually confirmed it earlier today with Miranda. I shot her a message just asking her what year it was, and when she confirmed it, I'm like, fuck, because it's one of those memories you have, a weird fucking memory that you have, kind of like this beer. This beer reminds me of some fucking rando bar in Mississauga, Ontario, but it's still an amazing beer.
R.I.P. to that bar, by the way.
Yes, R.I.P. to that bar. I was so mad. I was gonna take Julia when we went to Toronto, but
were you really?
Yeah, I was like, let's fucking go.
That's the biggest. I've never been to a place that had more beer on tap. Didn't they have 120?
Yeah,
140?
It was 150 taps. or like
Jesus.
149. It was some weird number. Like the actual tap was on a right angle, so it went down and then turned right and kept going.
Yep.
But that was my first introduction to a poorhouse. I think that predates Hopcat. Definitely predates Hopcat around here when we went back in like 2000 and I'm guessing 2009, 2000. Oh no, probably 2006, 2007 is when we went. So there is a German. This is something that just could never happen in the United States. A German brewer gave away 690 gallons of beer. Because they are hoping that by the time their new beer ferments, it'll be good to sell, but they needed to empty their tanks. Now, we're seeing a lot of these breweries that just have to pour it. There's nothing they can do. Like Minnesota's having an issue right now where they can't sell cans to go. They can sell growlers and crowlers and howlers and stuff like that, but they can't like pre-make 4 packs, 6 packs, that kind of stuff. So they're getting handcuffed because they helped the restaurant industry be able to sell beer to go, like, 4 packs and 6 packs of Corona from your favorite, Mexican restaurant. But you can't sell your own beer to go. And I actually learned this when my dad went to Surly to pick me up some beer, and the guy had to show him to a beer store because you couldn't buy a 6-pack to go. And this was before Surly could get to the Michigan. And Shauna says, give beer versus dumping. But the thing is that like in these states, like you just can't give beer away. Like it sucks. Like,
you can't do it. Like the laws are ridiculous.
But I mean, with all of the law relaxing that has been happening for being able to do curbside and do delivery, I mean, I kind of feel like with these breweries, they know what's in the tanks. They know that. Well, maybe they don't know, because I mean, obviously we don't know how long this is going to go on. But to kind of get this feeling like this is going to go on for a month, 2 months, 3 months, that this beer's got to go somewhere, and it's either like what Griffin Claw has done, where they basically take their beer and distill it and turn it to sanitizer, or they got to get it dumped. I feel like there needs to be the ability to kind of fast track some sort of law change to be able to do something like that, to be able to give it away. Because I mean, it's just junk anyway. And if you're going to dump it, give it to somebody who's going to drink it. If you're not at least going to be able to sell it.
Well, you can't sell it, and a lot of bars are trying to sell it back to the breweries or back to distributors, who are distributors are trying to get the money back from the brewery. Like there's a lot of extra steps here that things, it lacks for sure, but you can't lax free. Like there's a certain like, okay, they're selling beer to go. Like that's okay, whatever. But like giving beer away for free, like I just, especially in Michigan, like Michigan has so many laws and you have to be very specific. Like we're just talking about a couple years ago is when they allowed you to start doing social media posts legally about beer in Michigan. Like that was the thing is that you couldn't do that. You couldn't have like social media posts about like tap takeovers. Like that was against the rules.
Yeah. Shit, you couldn't do that on Instagram. That's what happened to that one brewery out in California that got those citations where they had to shut one of their facilities down and to make up for it. What
kind of sucks is that the beginning of this year, it looked like there was going to be a lot of changes within the MLCC code. It looked like a lot of people were fixing and addressing a lot of issues. Not necessarily the biggest issues, but issues nonetheless that needed to be addressed. Like, we still don't have Puritan-style laws like fucking Baltimore where you can't buy on Sundays at grocery stores.
Yeah.
There's a lot of places like that, isn't there?
Yeah, but I've only been to Baltimore where I know it exists, so Baltimore gets called out.
Makes sense.
I think I actually talked to you about that too, because I'm like, where the fuck do I get beer in this city?
Do you have to drive to DC to get fucking beer?
No, because like the bars were still open, so I just went to the casino.
Yeah.
That was the night where the craft beer bar closed because the bartender quit mid-shift.
Hey, Utah has that same issue too. As far as beer on Sundays.
Bartenders quoting? or quitting?
No, the selling on Sunday.
Utah has some pretty strict laws too, where you can only have like 2 beers per visit or something like that.
Oh no, I drink
What the-
2 beers at a time.
Right?
Yeah,
Give me
Alaska is
this
like
and
that too.
this.
When I
Well,
went to Alaska, you could only have so many beers, but only at the breweries. If I was at a regular bar, I could have as many beers as I want. But
Well,
at the
that's-
brewery, I could only have, I don't remember how many ounces it was, but it equals like just over 2 pints.
The problem is that a lot of these laws were made when there were only like less than 100 breweries per state on average. Like a lot of these laws are not even on average, like less than 20 breweries per state on average. We're looking at less than 200 breweries just 4 years ago, 3 years ago, here in Michigan. So when you see these types of laws, they were made for a different time, and you have an old guard of breweries that are like, well, I dealt with it. Now you guys have to fucking deal with it. Stop whining, kids. Looking at you, Eastern Market Brewing. Put your big boy
Ooh.
pants on.
Put your big boy pants on.
If say picking a random brewery off the top of my head, North Center Brewing over in Northville, Michigan, just south of Baseline Road over on North Center. I appreciate the job. If they wanted to do something a little bit different in regards to selling online or canning or something that they just can't do right now because it's against the rules. Now, again, the rules have become a little bit more lax in Michigan, but I just think that sooner or later we need to have a full renaissance of laws in regards to the MLCC getting changed. And I task Bill Carney to fix that because he works over at the state.
There you go. And I mean, and actually kind of to segue into, what Germany is doing, I guess I'm a little curious about what's going on in Oregon, because we've got Rusty Truck Brewing, who is planning on giving away their beer I'm assuming within the next week or so. And basically the owner said that he's going to start making growlers and is just going to be giving it out to whoever wants it. So
Yo, here's some beer.
I mean, clearly it seems like it's able to happen. I mean, if not, I don't understand why he would actually just have this article put out in the media about him giving away beer and not have, local ordinance officials showing up saying, no, you can't do that. But, he's preparing to start just passing out growlers and giving out this beer. So, I mean, if Oregon can do it, why the hell can't anybody else?
I think this is where you get a lot of no good deed goes unpunished type of scenarios, kind of like the Maui Brewing, like giving away hand sanitizer with the 6-pack of beer. Like someone's going to complain because they don't have the capacity to give it away. Or they don't have the funding to give it away. Like these guys probably aren't able to just give it away, and this publicity that they're getting from it is great, but what if every brewery did it? Then it's just kind of a wash at that point.
Right.
So I don't know what the laws are over in Oregon. So I can't really say what can or will happen. Hopefully nothing bad happens. Or I mean, if something does happen and they still keep their license, that's again more free publicity.
Right.
How many nights in jail is worth free publicity?
I don't know if it's to be nights in jail. It might be losing your liquor license.
I mean, that's
something to that
if,
effect.
if the caveat is you don't lose your liquor license, then how many
Yeah,
nights?
I would say I can already tell you about somebody who is losing his liquor license, and I'm not sure exactly what kind of publicity he is going to get going further, because there's this brewery that is out in Maine, Sunday River Brewing, that basically Maine is under their restrictions as they've put forth, and I think his name is Rick Savage. He decided, well, screw it, I'm opening anyway. He feels like he can, go through the social distancing and follow the rules. He actually showed up on Fox News, and he was talking to what's his name, that lacrosse water boy, Tucker Carlson.
Oh, I thought you were going to say
And,
Bobby Boucher.
Yeah.
I was gonna
So
say Megan Rapinoe, or who are you talking about?
basically, he said that he can run his business and have people sit in 6 foot intervals, and he basically told the state. Well, not before he told that. Before he told the state to take him to court, he was on the show and he gave out the governor's cell phone number and just basically was like, "Yeah, come at me."
Well,
And the
that's
state
probably where he screwed up.
and the state came at him and they took away his health and liquor license. And
What you get?
yeah, it's what you get. But he decided he was still going to open anyway. And there's this video that's on. If anybody follows Worst Beer Blog on Instagram, you'll see the video where somebody is driving by the brewery, and there was just this line out the door of people who are looking to get in, and of course they're not. They're not adhering to the social distancing policies at all, any way,
course
shape, or
not.
form.
Well,
But,
that's
you know,
when you lose the license, so then you sell your business to some guy named Sick Ravage, um, and he opens it up himself.
yeah, but I mean, he obviously he was not going to follow the rules, and they docked him with taking his license. He decided he was going to open anyway. Then he went on Facebook and said, "Oh, we're closed until further notice," and then he decided like 3 days later, I'm reopening. We're opening at 11. There's even a picture of him on Facebook where he's in the kitchen making donuts and saying, "Yeah, we're going to be open at 11." So I was like, "What is this guy?" I mean, I realize you're pissed off with the rules and the ordinances and everything that's going on, but it's kind of like, you're about to just lose everything.
At
So
15 minutes of fame worth it.
you're ready for
Right.
the most complicated view on this, and that's going to be mine. Because I agree with him to an extent in regards to the fact that if you can follow all the rules and still open your business, want to open your business, still make money, and still create a profit without doing any health issues, if you could do that, more power to you. Because I go to the post office because my girlfriend, she is fucking amazing and she's been making masks for people and shipping them across the country. So every time that she has a shipment, like I go to the post office and send it for her. So she's doing this great thing, but like I'm touching the door at the post office. I am touching the credit card machine at the post office. I am touching the pen at the post office. Like there's these things where I'm sharing, with multiple people. That's what hand sanitizer comes in after the fact. With that in mind, if you could follow the rules, great. There are things that, like the one that Georgia blows my mind is that, oh, tattoo parlors can open up as long as they follow social distancing rules. And I'm like,
Makes sense.
I don't think you can tattoo someone 6 feet away.
I mean, if you had some really good and long chopsticks, I guess.
But so I personally feel you can do it, but the thing is that then comes the point of enforcing it, and you don't
Mhm.
have the ability to enforce it.
Right.
And that was a lot of issues. For instance, in Michigan, the whole boat issue, where you couldn't put your boat in the water, the boating. What are they fucking called? Boat.
Boat launch?
Launch. There you go. I'm like boat dock. No, that's not it. Boat launch. Because the problem is that people weren't following guidelines. They were just sitting, chilling, and hanging out at the boat launch. So it
Johnny
comes to
Nooner!
oh fucking a. All
I
right,
hate
here
that
you go.
thing so much.
Here you go. Here you go. I want to put a bet out. There's 4 of us here. Who thinks Jobby Nooner still happens this year?
Oh,
is it?
come
Oh, it
on,
will.
man. It will. It will.
It
I
will.
mean, with it being in a situation now where you are allowed to vote, Jobby Nooner is going to happen. And Coast Guard is going to be out there and they're going to break it up and they're just going to move to a different island. But Jobby Nooner's happening.
I hate the name of that fucking thing. It pisses me off to no end.
It is still currently June 26th on Gull Island, and I do see some posts, but it looks like it's a bunch of just random shit on this page. But yeah, it's the 46th annual Jobby Nooner. So Is everyone saying it's going
Yeah.
to happen, Rob?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wendy
Yes.
says yes.
Yeah.
Dan says yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Guys, if you are in the chat, if Jobby Nooner is going to happen, feel free to tell us. If you don't know what it is, definitely Google search it. Make sure you're not at work.
Yeah.
Or you're not in front of your significant other, because they will have lots of follow-up questions, and I will not be answering any of them.
Mm-mm. No, and real quick, in regards to this drafting table, maple barrel aged mean vanilla bean, if anybody says that CBS from that brewery on Charlotte Street is better than this, as my aunt would say, use a damn lie, because this shit right here is the fucking truth. That's all I got.
A lot of people in the chat are saying it definitely will happen.
Of course.
You know, those people going though, what they should do is they should shoot up 59, get off at Rochester Road, and go to Zatuna Liquor over in Rochester Hills, because you can get plenty of cans.
Zatuna Liquor?
Oh, look at that!
Oh, look at that! Oh,
It's been sitting here for months. I noticed yesterday.
I know.
definitely shout out to Jack, because I've been seeing on a lot of the Facebook groups that people have been getting deliveries from him and his team. So they've definitely been putting in some work.
Guys, that's going to do it for us. Better on Draft for the podcast part. We're going to come back and we're going to play a game. If you guys are in the chat, you're more than welcome to join the game. We're going to be playing some Jackbox TV. We're going to start off with the Better on Draft version of Quiplash and kind of go from there. So that's going to do it for the podcast part. Thank you again for listening. And you can find us each and every Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern, Facebook.com/Better on Draft. And no matter what you think of your beer, we think it's Better on Draft. Have a good night.
Peace.